Stretching.
Hey there.
Hey guys.
We're going to start this again. I'm so sorry, but we previously had a little bit of a connection issue. We're going to try again and see if we've taken care of it. But today we're going to be talking about what's going on in our lives and how we're handling it, and we want you as the guest audience to come in and weigh in how your week's been. How have you been? We want to talk about that in today's Get Naked Monday, so let's jump right in. Well, hello, and welcome to ThoughtRaid, a show where we take on thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Brandon, and this is Tim, and this is take two. So hopefully we'll get it right this time, and we won't have as many stuttering issues. My apologies.
Brandon, it's so weird how much more brown I am and how much, more fair-skinned you are than I am. Not better or worse, it's just, different.
It's more obvious at certain angles.
It's like white meat and dark meat.
Wow. I guess maybe.
I'm the greasy, less I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I don't feel that way about myself, truly.
Good. Good, because if you did, I'd have a problem.
Yeah.
And I'd be upset, and we're going to have to go have some counseling together.
Oh, gosh. Second wife, Brandon. But, we got to talking in the previous iteration of this stream.
Yes.
But I don't know, through all this stuff, it's weird. The more we've done these live streams, also hit the button so we see our stuff.
Of course.
The more we do these streams, the more and more I'm okay with it not being perfect.
Oh, hey.
When we first did this stuff, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were talking about the idea of streaming themselves and how they feel not embarrassed, but just self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was originally. I think we both were to some degree, but much more so than me. And then I was like, oh no, it's gonna be recorded. We have to have perfect quality. Everything has to be perfect before we do this. And it's like
because we want you to believe that I'm perfect, and so is Tim.
Yeah, one of us is. I'll let you figure out which one. But preparation is really important, but at the same time, you get to that point where you have no more time for preparation. You just need to take action and figure stuff out along the way. And I think it's just one of those things that maybe it's a life lesson I'm learning. I'm not really sure, but being willing to stumble through something and figure it out as you go, you still make so much more progress than if you just spend time preparing.
Yeah, there's a point of no return when it comes to preparation, because it's just like after you do so much, you're just wasting time. You have to do it. It's like going to college perpetually throughout your life. Like, you get a lot of knowledge, but then you have no application for any of it until you actually do something with your degree. And so that's a fun thing. I have a little bit of vendetta towards college presently. Love-hate relationship. I love college. I hate college. But I hate it not because of the fact that it has anything to do with the knowledge that I gained through it, but because of how traditional college right now seems to be overly politicized, and that's a whole nother topic. At least that's what I've been hearing. And besides that, what I have experienced firsthand is just how ridiculously priced everything is. And it's like, I could buy a house, or I could get a college degree.
I was thinking about that too, because when I went to college, I went to Forsyth Tech for one semester.
Let's go.
And I remember I was a teenager, and I was really excited at the concept of going to college, especially going to college the way that it was promoted on TV, like all the movies.
Glamorized.
Where all the people just seemed to have life figured out, and everybody was hot, and that wasn't my, actually that was my goal.
If you go to college, you are instantaneously a hot person.
In some form or fashion, a lot of people, especially if you go on dating apps and stuff, you can sort education level, high school, whatever. And I can't think of anybody that's okay, well, let me just, I don't want somebody that's college educated. I want somebody that's high school educated.
I mean, that does make it sound pretty bad, but what's the character of the person, though?
You never know, but I don't know, with dating apps, that's weird because you're trying to narrow down the pool to the best possible, not clients, what's the word I'm looking for? Possibilities.
Hey.
Oh.
You are awesome. Cool.
Because he went to college. Are you also hot? That's the big question.
I think he's saying that he's awesome as in he's doing great right now.
Oh, cool. Hello, Bryce.
Because remember, the part of the question is, how are you? So I think that's what it is. He is in college, though.
Yeah. So you're getting to the point of being hot.
Yeah, because you were in college, and only for that reason.
But did you ever use dating apps?
I have.
Yeah. What'd you think of them?
I'm scolding. Anyways, what do I think? What I think of them? I mean,
you said scalding.
Scald, whatever.
He's hot.
He's scalding hot.
Yeah.
Anyways,
which platform did you use?
eHarmony. I've used the Facebook dating app thing. Hinge, I think.
What is Hinge?
I think it's Hinge. Some kind of dating app thing.
Mm-hmm.
Used that for a bit. In fact, that was, I think, the last thing that I used before Facebook, and there was like a period of time where God was like, stop, and so I stopped. And I just began focusing on just things that I was working on.
Did you actually pay for them?
No. Nothing. Yeah. I did pay. I paid for eHarmony for a bit, but then I stopped.
How much was it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been years and years.
I'm really curious. I kind of want to dig into this a little bit more. What made you pay for it?
Well, I mean, it's the service offered to help find women that I'd be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for a while.
Right, but there's a free version. What made you pay for it, though?
Because of just the depth. Dating apps provide ways of, figuring out who a person is on a more in-depth scale before you just reach out. And so when you pay for them, the quality of how the search goes for finding people is increased because that's what they do,
mm-hmm.
as well as what you can put into your profile and things of that nature. And I was much younger and more desperate when I was younger than I am now.
Yeah. Bryce, did you ever use dating apps? I'm really curious about that too.
Hey.
But why'd you decide to pay for eHarmony and not the other ones?
Well, because that's what came first.
Yeah.
And my level of confidence in who I was increased between eHarmony to present day.
Mm-hmm.
So what I felt like was necessary diminished in order to find someone. So I think that's the main reason why I stopped. I never expected to come on to thoughtraid today to talk about my dating profiles with eHarmony, things of that nature. Never. God's my dating app.
That's very Christian of you to say.
It is very Christian.
Yeah, I don't know. Dating apps are kind of interesting. I think early on in my 20s, well, I was in this weird place where I was pursuing Amway or Quickstar or whatever it was called back then, the LTD, the multi-level marketing stuff. And I was thinking, I'm going to find my wife here.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was this weird, and it made sense. I'm not trying to make him sound like a cult. But there was this concept that they promoted where you only want to associate with people who are going the same place as you. And that makes sense. I mean, that's biblically where it talks about being equally yoked. You know, if somebody's they really want to go live in China, but you're a homebody and you want to stay here in North Carolina, your life goals don't really align. So even if they're the hottest person on earth and you jive with them, it's like, well, does that really...
And then you start to have to question, do I really want to go to China?
Yeah, what's the price? Or Christian and non-Christian, or even Buddhist with somebody who's pagan. You have all these different mixes, but I remember thinking about dating apps. And they were super exciting to me. We kind of used MySpace back then and Facebook initially as a dating app. Just, take all the pictures and make myself look really awesome. Post all these really sick music videos so people know I'm into music and band shirts and whatnot. All that lame stuff, But I think I toyed around with eHarmony. I think I was just curious.
Yeah.
More so, what would this be like? And what is this like? What kind of stuff have you done just out of curiosity, like that going through your 20s?
With dating apps?
Well, just anything in general, but sure, dating.
When it comes to dating?
Sure.
I mean, when it came to dating, like, you know, well, okay, so, like, my parents set a ridiculous bar when it came to how fast you're supposed to get into a relationship. They knew each other for, like, 3 months, and then they were engaged, which is very fast. Didn't realize how unusual that is, because that's what I grew up with. So I had this expectation in my head, and they got married in, like, their early 20s. Like, mom was freshly 18, and dad was, like, 21 or something. And boom, they were engaged and then married within a year after that point. And so that was my standard, and that's all I knew. And no one else was really my standard except that. So I had this all or nothing mentality that stuck with me until really 2018, from teenage to 2018. And I had like a few relationships, like when I was a little kid, I was a serial dater. So to speak. I didn't date multiple women at once, but
ladies and gentlemen, a player.
I was, I guess, maybe, but not at the same time. I didn't go that far.
Yeah.
But there was multiple girls that I dated over the course of my kid years, and then I lost a lot of confidence after that. Like, we moved from Florida to North Carolina, and the last girl that I dated her name was Amber, and she was wonderful. She was a bookworm. And then
she was quiet, submissive, like women should be.
Wait, no. No.
Kidding, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
My wife is definitely not quiet and submissive.
No, it's not. She's not. I thought you said life for a minute, but no.
No, my wife is not quiet, and she's not submissive.
No, she's fiery. So, you know, then after her, like, confidence just went downhill, because I ended up getting interested in a girl in, like, 7th grade who strung me along for, like, 4 years. And that just it wrecked my confidence in how I could approach women.
What's her name? I want to look her
up. Not on the stream. But she was beautiful, and I was definitely attracted to her and everything, but it just didn't work out. And then high school, I dated one girl named Emily. Wonderful. 1 month of life. Experiencing it with her, just dating her, that is, and then I led her to Christ, and then we broke up. High school, you know. And then after that, it became much more. I would adventure to say that I was more toxic, but not toxic in as the way I would treat women, but it's the pressure that I would put into each relationship. You know, just like, it's all or nothing. I can't be friends with women I'm attracted to. We're either dating or we are cordial. There is no in between.
This is how Brennan makes friends.
Especially younger Brandon in college years. It was bad. One girl, I moved way too rapidly and was trying to get married to her within a very short...
We held hands after 4 months, guys. That's what he's saying. By month 6, we went on a date.
Yeah. I way too fast, trying to get married to her within like a couple of months. Didn't really have good communication skills to figure out where she was and where I was.
Was this the one I'm thinking of?
I don't know, because I don't know, but we can confirm later. And then finally...
Francis is like, can confirm.
And then finally, as I got into, like, you know, 2018 stuff, then things got better as I began to learn several different things about myself. But during that time, I did several dating apps, and I still have, like, the Facebook dating app at the moment, but I don't...
Wait, Facebook has a dating app?
Mm-hmm. It does. Well, not necessarily app, but it's integrated in with Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
But it's a lot better. Once I got to, like, once I got to 2018, I began to learn that, first of all, I could get through the front door with women, which what that translates to mean for me is that I knew I had value.
Thank you for, like, teasing that out. And,
yes.
Because when you say get in the front door with women, it means something
so
totally
many
different.
Things. I know. Let me verify what that means to me.
Let's clarify this.
Yeah, so it meant I knew that I had value, as a man. I knew that I had a lot to give emotionally, financially, even to a degree. I just knew that I would be a great, solid boyfriend and eventually husband. But I didn't know how to convey that. It felt like every woman that I would try to convey that to was like, nah. And so that's what I meant when I didn't feel like I could get through the front door. I couldn't get through that first threshold of, as a person, saying I have value in this, to be in a relationship with you.
Do you actually have to do that, though? Do you have to tell somebody and show them, hey, I can be a husband? Let me show you.
I mean, I feel like there's
Walk up with, like, ice all over your finger. I don't know why I'm doing it like this. Ice all over your fingers and stuff.
No, I feel like there's, like, a point to, like, you know, like, through the process of, like, you're kind of slowly unveiling who you are and see if they're interested. It's not like I'm trying to completely...
Well, like, what you said was show them that I'm capable of being a husband. I think that's... I mean, what you're saying makes sense, but I think that's a really weird way to go about relationship, because at least for me, when I was in my 20s, like, I really wanted to be a good husband. I wanted people to know that, you know, so much that I didn't date at all for a long time. I went like 7 or 8 years without dating. But then, like, when I was dating, there was all this pressure, you know, and there was all this pressure to be perfect and to make money and to provide and do all this stuff. And it's like there was no room for just being human. You know, like, you can go through the relationship and, you know, try to prove that you're going to be a husband. But, man, like, the way you live your life, your character, just naturally being you, you know, you don't have to prove it. Like, if you have the character to be a husband, that'll show through just by you being you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, like, I that's what I tried to convey in the beginning, not realizing... The main thing was I did not realize that... because after learning that I could, the next thing I had to realize was that there's an in-between.
Mm-hmm.
Between... when you're attracted to someone, you can be friends. You don't have to just be cordial, nor do you have to be dating towards marriage.
I mean, that's what Chelsea was saying. She was saying that, like, when you date, it's barely above friendship. And Bryce, what do you mean by that? And you said, I think you should be able to prove you can be capable. What does that look like to you? Just curious. But anyways.
You're saying about Chelsea.
Oh, she was saying that she believes that the dating relationship is slightly above just normal relationships. There's not much that separates them.
Yeah, well, I didn't recognize that. I thought the minute I began, like, revealing to a girl that I was interested in her, like, we are going to, like, you know, like, I couldn't develop a friendship and then move into dating. Like, I had to go straight from I'm attracted to you, I'm putting myself out there, let's start moving towards something. And it was just way too much stress and way too unrealistic.
It's like first date, let's go look at rings.
Yeah, I know, practically. That was kind of what it was like in a comedic way. But, you know, I had to learn to chill out.
Gosh, Christians are so weird.
I know. Well, yes. Yes, they are. Because we grew up with, you know, I Kiss Dating Goodbye, you know, that kind of crap.
What is that?
Some kind of book that some guy made about, like, the problems and pitfalls of dating, and, like, you know, all these Christians started looking at courtship or something. Like, we're going to reverse back to the 12th century or something. I don't know. Like, it's just ridiculous crap that just was not biblically founded. And I think now the guy's, like, an atheist or something. Like, it was like, you know, you probably shouldn't have kissed dating goodbye.
Man, atheism just does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
Even from the perspective of, like, being one of those, I mean, I'm a Christian, obviously, and I believe in God, but I'm like, I'm so willing to look at other perspectives. And out of all the other perspectives out there, atheism does not make sense to me. But what did Bryce say?
He's saying it looks emotional stability, drive to perform financially well, be kind, and other parts of being, from my point of view, as a husband, good husband.
Well, do you think that, as far as operating a relationship, you should intentionally say, I'm going to prove this to them? Or do you think it should be one of those things where it just happens naturally by you being you?
Yeah, I feel like it should be some... If I can slow down, I feel like it should be something that is displayed by just you being you, rather than something that is conveyed by I'm saying to you that I am these things.
Yeah.
And that's not technically what I was trying to say when I was talking about getting through the front door. it was more so of just like not sure how to make that apparent. Because I figured if I could make it apparent, then I would have more women interested in dating me. But that came, though, before realizing how much stress I put into like having to get towards a relationship and not just let's enjoy being friends and talking and like not having to define anything.
Well, dude, it's kind of like making a meal, you know? Everybody knows that you need protein, you need calcium, you need iron, you need vitamin C, you need all these vitamins, right? And if that's really all you needed, they could pack that into a pill and you know. And if you made just if you cooked a meal that only had protein and all this stuff and none of the fat, none of the, you know, the stuff that's not perfect, it wouldn't be delicious. You know, it's like, it's so sterile and nobody wants a sterile. I mean, I guess on paper a sterile relationship sounds good, and what I mean by that is a sterile relationship where it's like all the good stuff and none of the bad stuff. But I don't know, that's like, that's really hard to quantify as a human, because there is going to be bad stuff. But part of loving somebody is giving grace to them, and you can't have grace for somebody if they're perfect.
No, because you would technically be constantly the problem.
Yeah, it's like I'm the one that falls short every
time. That's our relationship with Jesus, but he has infinite grace and mercy and love for us, though. So it's okay.
What's he saying?
He's saying there are some aspects that require you to display your abilities that can be proven. Sometimes you got to show, I can apply myself. Yes, I can manage my finances. But then again, that's just coming out through being you and going through life. And women I find, are generally very good with observing and noticing things that you don't think they notice.
Yeah.
So I think just being you and not worrying about displaying that, but just doing, like, working on yourself, she'll notice. If she's interested, she'll notice.
You know, I met with a friend recently, and he's just talking about this girl that he's seeing. And, well, actually, let me preface that. He was in a relationship where this girl just kept saying things like, you need to get a better job. You're dumb. You don't have a degree. You're not going to do anything with your life. And just kept putting him down, you know, made him feel horrible about himself. And they broke up, luckily. But now he's in a relationship, and he said recently we showed each other our bank accounts, and she has like $18,000 in savings, and I have like $200.
Wow.
And he was like, yeah, she has a really good paying job, and, you know, she's handled her money well, and I made really poor decisions with my money. And he said, the funny thing is, you know, she's still dating me. She still likes hanging out with me. And I'm like, that's really cool. You know, the fact that he can look her in the eyes and say, hey, I'm not as apt. Is that
apt?
No, like the opposite of inept would be ept.
I'm not as inept.
What?
Inept?
No, the opposite of inept. Inept means that you're not savvy.
I am not.
I guess savvy. Okay, so he's not savvy in this area, but she is. She's like, even though you're not savvy in this area, you're willing to show me what you actually are, and I trust that so much more than somebody who's faking it. You know, and I don't know, he just felt a lot of peace with that, just being accepted as he is, and I think that's so crucial to relationships. So if you're in a relationship, or you want to be in a relationship, man, accepting somebody where they're at is the only way you're going to get to see their core and see who they are.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get into a relationship and, oh my goodness, you haven't been perfect this whole time. All this stuff I've been thinking about, what? My expectations, man.
My expectations, no.
Yeah.
You're not perfect, but neither are you.
You know, one thing that I appreciated about Ariane is on our very first date, I don't know how it even came up. One of the first things I told her was, hey, at this point in my life, I'm still dealing with porn. I'm trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And she was like, cool. You know, she appreciated my honesty. And I felt so safe with that. You know, I didn't feel like the whole, we talk frequently about how Jesus was talking to, I forget who the fisherman brothers were.
I mean, Peter was a fisherman.
Yeah, well, it's irrelevant, but basically he was like, drop your nets and follow me.
The sons of Zebedee.
Yeah, drop your nets and follow me, not drop your nets and go clean up and follow me.
James and John, maybe? I don't remember. There's like the sons of Zebedee. I forget what specifically their names are, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And I'm aware of it also because The Chosen. That's a good series.
Yeah. But the point I was trying to make is like being accepted as you are is so healthy because that acknowledges that the person says, your circumstances are different from your identity. You're worth being my husband even if you're struggling in a few areas right now, and I believe you can make it. And I want to see more of what your heart is. Because I don't know, there's just something really special about somebody that's willing to be honest and clear, and transparent. I almost said translucent, and be
translucent,
and be transparent. Like, I would much rather have somebody like that than somebody who is financially savvy.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if you have someone who's honest and they have good character and they're dependable, I mean, if there's any problems or shortcomings they have, where they lie, and where to work.
Yeah.
If someone's, really good at things, but they don't have the integrity or the character to display that, then, it's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of spooky. It's like, I don't know where I can trust this person because I don't know what they're hiding, kind of thing. And the relationship completely stops right there at the end of communication.
Yeah.
So that's not great.
Have you ever had a relationship or a potential relationship where you're talking to the girl or whatever, and then you let something slip that you have a fault and she just ghosts you?
I don't know, because it's not like I've been in that many. And the last one that I had, I don't think it was my faults that caused her to leave.
It was totally your faults that caused her to leave, Brandon. Come on.
I mean,
it was equal.
In technicality, I guess you could say yes, but...
Sorry, I feel like I just de-edified you on air. I'm sorry.
Well, it's fine. I'm not really bothered, honestly. It's something we'll have to work out, because the reason why I might do something like that, because it doesn't bother me in the same way. I'll tell you if it does. But... anyways, I guess technically it was part to do with me, but part of it was also just lack of communication, and that was the main issue, which is a flaw, but whatever. Anyways, thinking about all that. So if those who are watching, if you want to talk about anything in particular, there's something on your mind that you want to just vent with us, we invite you to do that. And if you've been enjoying this also, please be sure to like and to share this and to subscribe to us, because that we always have fun topics to talk about. We always love having people to come and join and talk with us. And we'd love to have you in the next stream. So make sure to like and subscribe, because that's how we can see you next. And you'll know when we're going live again. So yeah. All that to say, it's been an evolution when it comes to me in relationships. Recognizing the biggest thing was just recognizing that I can take my time. I don't have to rush into nothing. I could be friends with a girl that I'm attracted to, and then we can just... maybe hang out once or twice before we even begin looking at calling it something. And then after we talk about it, then we can define what that is. But, I don't have to jump immediately into commitment and then have all that baggage and just squash the relationship potential immediately because of expectations and stress and we have to move fast. No, it's a dance. It's fun. It's fun. That's something I've learned. Now, being 29, I've learned that, getting to know women that you're attracted to is a fun dance. It's not something you have to stress over. I'm sure there are things to be stressed over as you're becoming more committed, and you have to learn who she is and adapt and whatever as you become more and more committed and you've talked about it and you are both together becoming more committed and agreeing on that. But at least in the beginning, it's just a matter of who are you?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know why, but as you're talking about all this stuff, I'm just thinking about sales and my history in sales.
Yes.
And early in my career, I would try and just sell stuff. I remember working at GameStop back in 2003.
Wow.
And that was when I first worked there, or the first time I worked there. I worked there 2 times. And I remember they said you need to get 3 reservations and 2 subscriptions. So reservations of games or something coming out and subscriptions to Game Informer magazine.
Ooh.
That was their metrics, their KPIs, or 2 of them, key performance indicators. And I remember I was so focused on hitting my goals that I didn't really care if it was good for the customer. I remember in particular, there was this one customer I was talking to, and I was like, hey, if you reserve this game that you don't even care about, I'll give you this. And they were stuff unrelated, just like give them swag. Swag, whatever.
Swag.
Not swag like swagger, but just like stuff.
Ooh.
You know, like the GameStop stuff behind the counter, the plush toys or whatever, the promotional items. I was like, I'll give you all of these promotional items if you help me meet my goal.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we're talking about with dating. It's like, if you help me meet my goal of getting a wife, I'm going to give you all this stuff that's not related to what you want whatsoever, because I think it'll get me there. But here's the thing, man. It's like later on in my career, I started like learning what rapport is, like building that with people. Not rapport for a purpose, just rapport in general. And that's relationship, you know? Mm-hmm. And the more I leaned into that, there were times where they told me to promote games that sucked, honestly, like Anthem, for instance. You know about Anthem, BioWare's game?
I vaguely obviously, it wasn't that great because I vaguely remember it.
So, the concept...
I think they overhyped it, and then it just went flat.
That's it. Well, okay, so BioWare also did Dragon Age, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole concept of Anthem was like Destiny, but open world. And so they announced Dragon Age, and they took a large portion of their team that was working on Anthem and put it on Dragon Age because it was going to be a bigger game. And then all the stuff they promised fell through, right? And they were like, promote this game. And I was like, listen, GameStop told me to promote this game, and it looks kind of cool, but I see what's actually going on. I mean, take it for what it is. And just being real with people about things that are on the surface culturally that are expected of me and what I really want to engage with, that's what built trust. And that's what relationships do. Because, you know, if somebody came into GameStop and they were like, okay, Tim, really, like, what's cool that's coming out that I should be excited for? What's like the big buzz stuff that is not, I'd be honest with them, you know? And that was completely contrary to what a lot of sales culture convinces you is going to be successful.
Yeah.
But, you know, taking that into my relationship too, it's like I could follow, and I did this for the longest time. I followed, like, I remember buying, well, I didn't buy. I worked at Food Line when I was in high school and shortly thereafter as a bag boy and a stalker and stuff. And on my break, I would grab a magazine because they had the magazine racks. I don't know if they still have those.
Probably.
But I would grab Cosmopolitan and GQ, and I would just go through there to get tips on how to be a better guy.
Ooh.
No, don't do that.
That is not the way you find how to be a better guy.
But, you know, there were concepts that I was reading, like manscaping and how to manage finances and how to convince a woman that you're worth it. And, like, all these weird things, you know, instead of be honest about who you are, include her in the journey of just figuring out life and like all these real things that people actually want and can do. Like anybody can admit their faults and just be honest about what they're working through.
Yeah.
You know, and just say, hey,
you can do it for free.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what's so crazy. We think guys and girls too, I guess to some degree.
Yep.
It's really easy to think I can't date because I don't have the money to. You're telling me that you can't have a relation. You don't have the money to form a relationship through conversation with somebody, to go for a walk, to be honest about your situation.
Free,
right? Because if you build a relationship based on how much money you have, you're gonna have to maintain that relationship based on how much money you have. If you build a relationship based on how hot you are, or think you are, or what kind of car you drive, or what kind of neighborhood you live in, or what kind of profession you have, what are you gonna do when all that's just jerked out from beneath your feet due to life circumstances?
Yeah. Are you still valuable then when all that stuff goes away? Because if you think your value is in that, well, then your value is very precarious. It's very much so on the edge of a cliff and able to fall and be gone.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, guys. As you are is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, that is important to be who you are, not trying to make people believe that you are a specific way or something of that nature. And that the only way you can really accomplish that is just by working on yourself and continuing to be you. And if there are things that bother you, of course, talk about them if they're related to relationship, because that's what I had to do to get to my understanding that, hey, I don't have to stress so hard to try to get to engagement within 3 months. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you, but that's way too fast. I don't have to do that unless for some reason it actually does, for whatever reason, works. But I feel like that's more like a once in a blue moon thing. And I bet you, if you were honest about it, Mom and Dad, I bet you would probably have been happier if it took you maybe about a year before you got engaged than 3 months. You know, I know you've been married for 42 years now, which has been really good, and I'm very proud of you, and I love you both, but I bet you probably would have, if you could have done it over, you probably would have been happy just taking your time getting to where you are now, I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Challenge me on it.
When we were going through the engagement process, it was suggested to us to wait 3 years.
That's a bit of a stretch, I think.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. If you just put it on paper and you just think about it logically, you don't really know somebody until blank, And it's just going through the process of identifying that, because when you make a covenant with somebody, that's you saying, regardless of what you choose, I'm going to choose your welfare, And that's a big commitment to make to somebody. That's basically giving somebody a blank check. And it's is that person going to steward your heart well? Is somebody going to steward your blank check well? And to make that type of commitment within a couple months or a couple weeks that's a really big thing. There's so many people I know that have made that commitment in 2 years and still are man, I wish I had not married this person. And then that's a sad narrative. That really sucks and it hurts. But
that all the more shows why we need to be constantly working on ourselves and focusing on us, developing closer to Christ. Because if we're doing that, then we're able to recognize the red flags within another person and avoid marriages that would otherwise not be healthy. Taking your time is one thing, but you can have all the time in the world and still miss important red flags if you're never working on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. I think a lot of people, they're looking for the relationship to fix their problems, and it's not there for that. If anything, it might exacerbate your problems.
Exacerbate?
That's a word.
Exacerbate. Exacerbate sounds really gross.
Exacerbate?
Exacerbate.
Excuse me.
Not exacerbate.
I'm sorry.
It's masturbate, but quickly. Exacerbating. Coined on ThoughtRaid.
Welcome to ThoughtRaid, where we make up words. Exacerbate. No. I don't know. Whatever. It makes the problem become more apparent. Worse. I'm just going to find another word.
Oh, God.
But no, it's not designed... While having the person in your life can help with certain things. I'm not saying that and having another person there as a companion won't help you. I can, but that's not the role of marriage. It's more about a commitment to a person lifelong, and to pour into their life. And so you want to make sure, is this person worth that investment? Because it's correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about putting her first. Not before God, obviously, but after God, it's putting her first.
Well, I would hazard to say that no.
How would you put it then?
Well, God first, and then yourself, and then them. Because if you're not healthy, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Well, okay. So, I mean, yes, but there's probably moments of sacrifice, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking of in that situation of there'll be there's many opportunities of changing things up that you may not want to do for their sake. Not to say that's constantly the case, but there's probably situations of that.
Yeah, you just have to be careful, guys, because you can easily lose yourself in another person if you're not focused on your own. If you are taking your rocks of priority out of the box, throwing them out and taking somebody else's priorities and making them your priorities, you're gonna get to a point where it builds resentment. You're gonna get to a point where, your own priorities are starving. And then you wonder, why is my life falling apart? But this person's life seems to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, because
but it's only doing good while I'm there.
Yeah, that's no good.
That's enabling.
Yeah, that's a codependent relationship. So you want to avoid that. But that said,
well,
you think it's a good stopping point?
I guess so.
Okay. Well, I would like to close this time.
Well, fine, Brandon.
Thanks.
Go ahead and close it out.
I'll close it out. I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been a lot of fun. We broadcast every week on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this Friday, we're going to be having Fola Scott back on. And you want to be there for that because we're going to be talking about remind me of the specific wording. It's
well, basically, we're going to be talking about identity.
Yes.
But from a position of personal experience with things like racial issues, LGBT issues, just lots of different things. But yeah, if I would highly recommend checking us out on Facebook.
Yes.
There is now an event listing, and you can see what the dates are, what the topics are. Like and follow there, so you'll get that notification pop up.
And be sure to like and subscribe here, because if this has really helped you, join us. Join us in the thoughtraid community. We'd love to have you here to talk with you. If you have any questions, like Bryce, you've been talking with us the whole time. We love that. We'd love to have more people coming on, giving us your thoughts, giving us your questions. We'd love to have you there for that. So, all that said, make sure to be here this Friday at 4 p.m. where we're going to be talking about identity in the stuff. Yes, I keep messing up the words. Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
We love you.
I can see far away from where I've been. He says I see a potential. I see a potential in my eyes. I see a potential. I never lost sight of the